now called to order. This is October 17th, 2016 at 5:30 PM in the Thomas J. Smith Council Chambers. Would you all please stand and join us for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you all very much. Kathleen, can we do roll call, please?
Scott.
Here.
Wilson. Here. Davidson.
Here.
Fleming.
Here.
McCampbell.
Here. Okay. Tonight, starting off, we have two proclamations, well, actually three. The first two are the winners of the City of Burlington 7th grade essay contest 2016. And we already announced them at City Day, so we're going to make it official tonight. So, and also, I didn't realize that they were getting money too. They've got some chamber bucks as well going along with this, so exciting. Well, without any more delay, this first one is, whereas promoting good city government is important to the citizens of Burlington, and whereas an essay contest entitled "If I Were Mayor" was open to Burlington 7th grade students to provide students the opportunity to reflect on the role of the key elected official in our city. And whereas our future mayors are in classrooms today, the education they receive helps them to become good citizens and good mayors. And whereas essays were judged based on creativity, clarity, sincerity of thought, and proper use of grammar, a winner from each school is selected. And whereas the city of Burlington is a great place to live, work, and play, you know it. Now, therefore, we, the City Council of the City of Burlington, do hereby proclaim Maddie Drew, winner of the City of Burlington Notre Dame 7th grade essay contest 2016, signed and sealed this 17th day of October 2016. Shane A. McCampbell, Mayor. Maddie Drew, would you come on down, please? You're a rock star. You know, what can I say? When I grow up, I want to be just like you. But boy, that's a chick. All right? Can I get a picture taken with you? Look at that. If you want, I can help you spend it. I'm good at stuff like that. Awesome. That is for you. And Mandy Drew, would you like to come and have a word? Would you like to say anything? Just all the brilliance looking at you. Come on over here. Come on. Step lively this way. All righty then. This is great.
I think that it's important that we're getting a K-9 unit in the police department, and I think if I were to grow up and become mayor, I would add on to that, and also I think that the K-9 is important.
Yeah, and speaking of cool, you'd be way more than cool than our current mayor, right? Yeah.
Here, which even makes you even way cooler.
Way to go, Matt. Way to go, Maddie.
You're awesome.
Good job. Yeah, good job. Well, we put her on the spot, didn't we?
I love to put people on the spot. Let's see who I can get next. This next young man, I know your papa, and I know where you live. Yeah, I know, that's scary. And you also have $25 in chamber bucks. I do want to say this again before I announce you, that everybody that did enter, you're a winner. You're a winner. We could only pick one, but just the fact that you entered in the contest, you put yourself out there, taking the risk that maybe you might not get picked, that says a lot about your character. Keep doing what you do. Excellent, excellent. But tonight we do have a winner picked from Aldo Leopold. It says, whereas promoting good city government is important to the city of Burlington, to the citizens of Burlington, and whereas an essay contest entitled "If I Were Mayor" was open to the Burlington 7th grade students to provide students the opportunity to reflect on the role of key elected official in our city. And whereas our future mayors are in classrooms today, the education they receive helps them to become good citizens and good mayors. And whereas essays were judged based on creativity, clarity, sincerity of thought, and proper use of grammar, a winner from each school is selected. And whereas the city of Burlington is a great place to live, work, and play, now therefore we, the City Council of the City of Burlington, do hereby proclaim Brock Dengler, winner of the City of Burlington Aldo Leopold Middle School 7th Grade Essay Contest 2016. Signed and sealed this 7th day of October 2016. Shane A. McCampbell, Mayor. Would you come on down? Brock Dengler, come on. You're a rock star, man. I mean, you're way cooler than your dad could ever be. Let's get that off the table right now. All right. Yes. He's already threatened me, said you better watch out for next election. Would you like to come this way and have a word?
Everything's fine. I would like to thank my teacher, Mrs. Rose, for giving me the opportunity to fill out a essay. And that's pretty much it.
You did good,
Thanks.
All right. Well, I'll tell you what, actions speak louder than words, and you guys put your actions on the line. Again, Maddie and Brock, just both of you, just stand up real quick, just so everybody at home can see you two special kids. Fantastic. And I will be seeing you both at the fire station for dinner when they get that set up. Make sure you bring your bibs. It's going to be messy. All right. Next, we also have a Community Planning Month.
Proclamation, whereas change is constant and affects all cities, towns, suburbs, counties, boroughs, townships, rural areas, and other places. Community planning and plans can help manage this change in a way that provides better choices for how people work and live. Community planning provides an opportunity for all residents to be meaningfully involved in making choices that determine the future of their community. The full benefits of planning requires public officials and citizens who understand, support, and demand excellence in planning and plan implementation. And whereas the month of October is designated as National Community Planning Month throughout the United States of America and its territories, the American Planning Association and its professional institute, the American Institute of Certified Planners, endorse National Community Planning Month as an opportunity to highlight the contributions sound planning and plan implementation made to qualify of our settlements and environment. And whereas the celebration of National Community Planning Month gives us the opportunity to publicly recognize the participation and dedication of the members of planning commissions and other citizen planners who have contributed their time and expertise to the improvement of the city of Burlington. We recognize the many valuable contributions made by professional city planners of the city of Burlington and extend our heartfelt thanks for the continued commitment to public service by these professionals. And whereas the 2016 American Planning Association Iowa Chapter Conference is being hosted in the city of Burlington, and the attendees are welcomed into our community. Now therefore, we, the City Council of the City of Burlington, Iowa, do hereby proclaim the month of October 2016 be designated as Community Planning Month in the city of Burlington in conjunction with the celebration of National Community Planning Month, signed and sealed this 17th day of October 2016. Shane A. McCampbell, Mayors.
Mr. Tisland. Eric, would you like to have a word, please?
Just want to thank the council for this proclamation. We're excited to welcome in and host planners and professionals from across the state and region here in our community, kind of show off what we've been doing here in the community, and also have some great sessions of learning what's going on across the state that we can maybe apply here in Burlington as well. I also want to just recognize our local steering committee that helped put a lot of this together. Zach James, Dan Gifford, Steve Freebert, Chelsea Toll, Charlie Nichols. So we're excited to finally be at the point where we're hosting this conference, and it doesn't come around too often. So we're glad that it's here in Burlington this year and look forward to some good events and good people coming down to Burlington.
It starts when?
Starts on Wednesday afternoon through Friday afternoon. So
So the opening and greeting is at,
opening greetings Thursday morning at 8 at the Pizzazz Convention Center. A lot of sessions going on, some mobile tours, so you might see people out and about as well. So
okay, thank you, Eric.
at last count, there's around not quite 200 registered for the conference. So
Awesome. Good deal.
Thank you, Eric.
thank you.
Okay, next on the agenda is the consent agenda. Yes, thank you. Would you like to take care of that, please?
You, Maddie and Brock, if you want to leave with your family, otherwise you can sit here and through the rest of the meeting with us if you like. It's up to you.
I don't think you guys want to do that. Brock was up pretty quick, man.
But Brock, if you're running for election, you might want to stay.
He said he's gonna, hey, Rob, he said he's gonna take my job next year. Thanks a lot, man. Awesome. Thanks for coming down, guys.
Thank you, guys.
Maddie, you're a rock star.
Hey, thanks.
Thank you. Thank you, man. Thank you, sir. Okay. All right. Next is the consent agenda. All matters listed under item 1, consent agenda, having been discussed, are considered to be routine by the city council and will be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items. If a discussion is desired, that item will be removed from the consent agenda and will be considered separately. On the consent tonight, we have the usual, finances and miscellaneous, minutes of previous meetings, payroll and city claims, beer, liquor, wine, and cigarettes, reports, and bonds. We have 3 resolutions. The first resolution approving nuisance abatements for various properties. The second is a resolution awarding contract for engineering services for Phase 1 south of the Flint River Trail. The third resolution is authorizing a real estate purchase agreement, authorizing an agreement to annex property and granting permission for connection to the POTW sewer. We also have 2 public hearings set for November 7th, 2016. The first is a consideration of a sale of property locally known as 117 South 7th Street, City of Burlington, Iowa, with conditions. And then the second is a consideration of a permanent encroachment agreement with Greenway of Burlington Associates for encroachment into Valley Street right-of-way at 2312 Valley Street, Burlington, Iowa. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to have any of these items from the consent removed? I see none. Council?
No, thanks.
Okay, can I get a motion?
Your Honor, I move to approve all items listed under item 1 consent agenda.
Second.
Moved in second. Kathleen, let's take it to vote.
Scott,
Aye.
Wilson,
Aye.
Davidson,
Aye.
Fleming,
Aye.
McCampbell.
Aye. All right. Moving right along, next we have, we've got a property for sale. This is going to make somebody a lovely, lovely property. This is consideration of a sale of property locally known as 207 South 5th Street, City of Burlington, Iowa, with conditions. Publication's been made in the Hawkeye as prescribed. Mr. Tislin?
This is a vacant piece of land, property we acquired through the abandoned building program. The home was in a condition that did need to be demolished. We did send notice to neighbors, and the neighbor that owning the property surrounding it did have interest in acquiring it to expand their land, Hilltop Properties LLC. So they did put a bid in of $500. We have not received any other interest in the property. As before, staff would recommend a vacant piece of land either go to a neighboring property or someone intending to develop it. And at this point, no one's come forward wishing to develop the property. So staff would recommend selling to the adjacent neighbor.
Okay. This is, again, 207 South 5th Street. We have a bid already in place at $500 made by Hilltop Properties of Burlington. We're going to open up the bidding at this time. We have a bid of $500. If you have a higher bid, and you're not Hilltop, I'm going to ask that you come to the podium, state your name, your address, and then your bid. I have a bid at 500. Do I have a bid at 1,000? I've got 500. Do I have 1,000? Do I have 600? Going once? 500? Going twice? Lovely crowd tonight. Sold for $500 to Hilltop Properties of Burlington LLC, 218 South Sixth Street.
Your Honor, I move to close the public hearing.
Second.
Scott,
Aye.
Wilson,
Aye.
Davidson,
Aye.
Fleming,
Aye.
McCampbell.
Aye. Hearing's
Your Honor, I
closed.
move to approve the sale of the property located known as 207 South Fifth Street, City of Burlington, with conditions.
Second.
Moved in second. Kathleen, let's vote on it.
Scott,
Aye.
Wilson,
Aye.
Davidson,
Aye.
Fleming,
Aye.
McCampbell.
Aye. Okay, sold to Hilltop Properties, well done. Okay, next is a consideration of an ordinance creating Chapter 38 Tree Advisory Board of the Burlington Municipal Code.
This was brought forward through our Parks Department, looking at the resources we have available to us, working with some community groups. The tree resources in the community have kind of slowed over the last few years, so wanted to look at creating a board that could serve as an advisory resource for staff and officials and the community at large to provide information, education, recommendations, and support to promote practices which lead to a healthy urban forest. So looking at doing that by creating a tree advisory board, 7 members appointed to a staggered term would be residents of the greater Burlington area with non-resident memberships of the city of Burlington shall not exceed 3 members. Other duties would be ensuring we maintain our designation as Tree City USA and help staff in the city coordinate community tree planting and care activities, and also just educate the public on some of the tree issues that come up, including emerald ash borer and other tree issues that might come up in the future. It seems there's always disease or other issues that might affect trees, and we have limited resources through staff that can kind of get out and educate the public on some of these, and having some professionals and other advisory members on the board, we feel would help staff do that and better educate the public.
Okay. Is there anybody from the audience that has any questions or concerns regarding the advisory board for tree activities? I see none. Council?
Do we have people willing to serve at this point?
Yeah, we've, our city forester and park superintendent have met with the Trees Forever group and some other professionals in the community, and we do have some interested in that, so.
Okay.
The Trees Forever group was very excited about trying to help us get this off the ground and promote this as well. So.
Good. Good deal.
You satisfied?
Yes.
Okay.
I move to close the public hearing.
Second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded twice. Kathleen?
Scott,
Aye.
Wilson,
Aye.
Davidson,
Aye.
Fleming,
Aye.
McCampbell.
Aye.
I move for adoption and preliminary adoption of the first reading of an ordinance creating Chapter 38 Tree Advisory Board of the Burlington Municipal Code.
Second.
Scott,
Aye.
Wilson,
Aye.
Davidson,
Aye.
Fleming,
Aye.
McCampbell.
Aye. Okay.
So if we have people out in the community that would be interested in serving, they should contact you?
Myself or Ryan Gorley, park superintendent, or Patrick Moore, city forester,
Okay.
any one of us.
Great.
Okay.
I have some ordinances for preliminary adoption of the second reading of an ordinance rezoning the property located at 3107 South 14th Street from R1 Single Family Residential to R4 Multifamily Residential Zoning District with conditions.
Second.
Thank you. Mr. Tisland?
No changes from the previous reading. Again, this is a request by the property owner at 3107 to rezone to allow duplex condominium development on this lot. Currently under the R1 zoning, it would only allow a single-family home. They're looking to construct up to 2 duplex units, similar to what's at the end of Pawnee, just north off of 14th Street. Looking at surrounding land uses, there is a 3-plex townhouse directly across the street, to the east, and as well as apartments further down the road. The restriction when conditions on the property limit the development to the same density as an R1 standard for lot size. So Planning Commission felt that this would be compatible with the surrounding land use with the conditions and voted 5-0 to recommend approval to the council.
Is there anybody from the audience that has any concerns or questions? I see none. Council?
I would like the motion to amend the motion for preliminary adoption. Do I have to get a second on that?
No, just
Okay. Preliminary adoption of the second reading of an ordinance rezoning the property located at 3107 South 14th Street from R1 Single Family Residential to R4 Multifamily Residential Zoning District with conditions to read as follows. For waiver of the preliminary consideration and adoption of the second reading and for the final adoption of an ordinance rezoning the property located at 3107 South 14th Street from R1 Single Family Residential to R4 Multifamily Residential Zoning District with conditions.
Second.
Kaplan?
Okay. Scott?
Aye.
Wilson?
Aye.
Davidson?
Aye.
Fleming?
Aye.
McCampbell?
Aye. Okay, that was on the amendment, and this is as amended.
Great. Scott?
Aye.
Wilson?
Aye.
Davidson?
Aye.
Fleming?
Aye.
McCampbell?
Aye. Excellent.
I have an ordinance for the preliminary adoption of the second reading of an ordinance rezoning the property located at 2910 Madison Avenue from R1 Single Family Residential to C1 Limited Commercial Zoning District with a planned unit development overlay zone.
Second.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Tisland?
Again, no changes from the previous reading. This was a request by the property owner, developer to rezone in order to better utilize the property. Currently, it's zoned R1, which restricts the redevelopment of the property to single-family use or other medical uses and institutional uses with a special use permit. So they requested rezoning, looking to redevelop the property with residential uses, commercial office and restaurant uses. So those uses are all stated within the PUD as allowed uses. Those are all intermixed among our zoning classifications, whether it be C1 or C2 or R4. So felt the best way was to go through a PUD to state the actual uses allowed. For clarification, residential use categories includes group living, household living, including multifamily or apartment uses, as well as short-term lodging, which includes hotel and motels. Commercial office includes insurance, professional offices, general sales offices, engineers, lawyers, medical and dental clinics and offices, and then restaurant would just include a restaurant. So those would be the uses allowed. If they want to change something or add something in the future, it would have to go through a amendment to the PUD ordinance, so there could be some review by Planning Commission and Council. But these are the specific uses requested by the owner and developer.
Any questions or concerns from the audience? Anyone? Okay, I see none. Council?
None for me.
Okay. Annie?
I'd like the motion to amend the motion for preliminary adoption of the second reading of an ordinance rezoning the property located at 2910 Madison Avenue from R1 Single Family Residential to C1 Limited Commercial Zoning District with a planned unit development overlay zone to read as follows. For waiver of preliminary consideration and adoption of the second reading and for the final adoption of an ordinance rezoning the property located at 2910 Madison Avenue from R1 Single Family Residential to C1 Limited Commercial Zoning District with a planned unit development overlay zone.
Second.
Second.
Okay, let's vote on the amendment.
Scott?
Aye.
Wilson?
Aye.
Davidson?
Aye.
Fleming?
Aye.
McCampbell?
Aye. And now let us vote as amended.
Scott?
Aye.
Wilson?
Aye.
Davidson?
Aye.
Fleming?
Aye.
McCampbell?
Aye. Okay, it's been changed.
All right. Motion, ordinance for preliminary adoption of the second reading of an ordinance amending various sections of Chapter 154 Residential Code of the City of Burlington Municipal Code.
Second.
Again, no changes from the previous reading. This primarily is going from the 2012 edition to the 2015 edition of the International Residential Code, which applies to one and two family dwellings. The other minor change would be taking out the deletion of various chapters between 25 and 32 to allow this to be a self-contained code, which we hope is easier for development and review by our inspectors as well as developers and builders in the community.
Anybody from the audience, questions or concerns? Lovely crowd tonight. Council?
Not for me.
Motion to amend for preliminary adoption of the second reading of an ordinance amending various sections of Chapter 154 Residential Code of the City of Burlington Municipal Code to read as follows. For waiver of preliminary consideration and adoption of the second reading and for final adoption of an ordinance amending various sections of Chapter 154 Residential Code of the City of Burlington Municipal Code.
Second.
All right. Let's vote now on the amendment.
Scott,
Aye.
Wilson,
Aye.
Davidson,
Aye.
Fleming,
Aye.
McCampbell.
Aye. And now as amended.
Scott,
Aye.
Wilson,
Aye.
Davidson,
Aye.
Fleming,
Aye.
McCampbell.
Aye. Okay.
An ordinance for preliminary adoption of the second reading of an ordinance amending section 150.07, affixing numbers of chapter 150, building numbering of the City of Burlington Municipal Code.
Second.
Open second, thank you. Mr. Tisland?
This changes to bring our city code into a standard with our international fire code as we work to improve the numbering throughout the community for house numbers. So this would make the city code reflect the language within the international fire code, including where numbers shall be a minimum of 4 inches high with a minimum stroke width of 0.5 inches, shall contrast with the background and be of durable material. So some minor changes. One note, current language does say 3 inches high for the letters. Any letters currently on buildings would be allowed to stay. This change would go into effect for new numbering or when you're replacing your numbering, so.
Good deal. Anybody from the audience have any questions or concerns? I see none. Council?
Mayor, I think this is too important just to kind of glance over. That's why we're going to go through 3 readings of this, as we discussed. The part of this ordinance reads that they must be, the numbers must be clearly visible and readable from the street and in plain view. And that's very important to remember. We have some streets in town that the house numbers are not in numerical order. Meaning it doesn't go 1, 2, 3, 4. It may go 1, 3, 4, 2. The other thing to remember, this doesn't apply just to residential properties. It applies to commercial and industrial too. Why this is important is because we have emergency responders, police and fire, that need to know where you're at. And the only thing they have to go on a lot of times is your address. You may know your address, but they're not gonna know your home if that address isn't on the outside of it. So please, they're not gonna know your home or your business or your industry, so please get your numbers up. The fire department will be doing some follow-up on this and will be assisting people in learning about getting your numbers posted. And it's not just the emergency response, it's also people that work in businesses like UPS and FedEx and the Postal Service that need to know where your address is. And I would double check my address. Some changes have taken place. I know Seneca Street, for one, Seneca Street used to be referred to as, it was either Seneca Avenue or Seneca Road or something like that, and they changed it to Seneca Street. And it wasn't real significant for anybody other than the Postal Service. But there are streets like that from time to time that, for one reason or another, the name gets changed. Stay on top of that. I know the building that I'm in, my business is in, has 718 on it, but it's, the post office shows that address as being 720. and then the building above me is 720 and a half. So I don't know why 718 is on my building, and I've been trying to find that out. So far, no one's been able to answer it. I'm just started working on that today. And then the building across the street from me, the GPS has it as 713, and the Waterworks Department has it as 723, so I'm researching that one too. So, just in one block in the downtown, there's two addresses that have errors on them, so there may be more of that in town. You may want to look at your own properties and make sure they're addressed right. Because the GPS and the information that the emergency responders have is, if you say your house is 722 Summer Street, they're gonna go to 722 Summer Street, and that, with all the best information they have, if it says 720 on the outside, or if their information shows it as being 720, they're gonna go to the wrong house. Only comments I have, I guess.
Okay. And if you want to get your pizza in under half an hour, it's really going to help.
I didn't think about pizza, good one, good one.
Just throw that in.
That one will probably sell.
Or your pipes unplugged.
That's right, and those are important things. So anyways, just remember that, and we'll do another reminder again before we get finished, so thank you for that. Anything else? Kathleen?
Scott,
Aye.
Wilson,
Aye.
Davidson,
Aye.
Fleming,
Aye.
McCampbell.
Aye. All right. Next, we have some resolutions.
Your Honor, I have a resolution authorizing staff to seek redevelopment proposals for the Apollo School property at 1201 Valley Street.
Second.
Thank you.
As we've moved through this process with the Apollo, council took action last summer to go through the 657A process to acquire this property with the acknowledgement that backstopping, if there wasn't the ability to have development occur here, would be demolition using TIF financing to do. Fairly significant cost to do that, about $600,000 was kind of anticipated between the estimate for the demolition plus asbestos removal that's in there. As time has gone on, you've had different proposals for potentially looking at redevelopment of that site, none of which the council has chosen to move forward with, or the developer has made that decision themselves. But we've had no coordinated effort for seeking development on that. As the council then looked at moving forward on demolition, we did have a proposal from Zach James to think about the idea of going out for an RFP for development. Maybe you want to come forward and just kind of express what you've got here for a document of what you put together for how that process would work to seek proposals on this.
Sure. As Jim mentioned, we offered our services to assist the city to market the property, to, I guess, make an outward marketing effort to developers in the Midwest, and with some assistance with Jesse Caston and Terrace Real Estate. And so what we've put together and what we've talked about previously is putting together this request for proposals that we would send out. And we talked about this a little bit last week. I'll just go over a few minor things. The intent would be to send this out next week via email and mail to a list of developers that we have, about 75 to 80, and then also some engineering architecture firms. That's about 35 or 40 companies there. They'd have till January to submit proposals to us, at which point, if we get proposals, we'd go through those, make sure they meet the criteria first, and then second, either review those with some kind of a review team with some city staff, maybe some council, or directly to the council, and then give you guys an opportunity to look at those and maybe have them come present on what their proposal might be. And at that point, you have the opportunity to either move forward with a proposal, or as the language is in here, you have the ability to reject any or all proposals as well. So that would kind of be the process. And I guess if you have any questions about that, or if you have anything else to add.
A couple of things. One, the RFP does have in it a purchase price, defined purchase price at $100,000 as a base. And it also expresses the intent of the council to be willing to offer a 15-year TIF rebate as an incentive within it. would you accept offers from someone who isn't on the list that you have put together?
Yeah, I mean, the intent, that is just our list that we have to mail it to, but there could be other people that came forward with
So if
proposals.
someone has a proposal, they are more than encouraged to talk to either yourself or to Jesse Caston?
That is correct. Got it.
Do we have a time limit on this?
Well, we would send it out on October, so we'd send it out next week, and then proposals would be due January 20th. And then we haven't set a timeline after that, but I would like to probably move within a month to make a decision on something, one way or the other. Like I said, we haven't set that timeline, but I would think we could move somewhat quickly.
The timeline on the back end has been left kind of open, dependent on
Okay.
what we get for responses to the RFP.
And we did talk about maybe having a little extra time in case, maybe they send in the information we request, but maybe we have some follow-up questions or information, so we might give them a little time to get back to us on those things.
As a sidelight, this is just a detail, but I was in Sioux Falls, South Dakota this week, visiting with my mother-in-law and all. And there's a lady there that's originally from Burlington. And she came up to me and said, "Bob Fleming, don't you dare tear down the Apollo building." And anyway, I threw a cup of coffee at her and I left. No, I really didn't.
No, and just in the meantime here too, I've received emails and phone calls from a couple people that are from the area originally but don't
Yeah.
live here who have interest in it, and then we've heard from a few developers as well in the meantime, before we've sent it out, so. So there's interest. We'll see what kind of proposals we would get though.
Very good. Thank you.
Well, good luck.
Work your magic, Zach. I believe in you. No pressure. I believe in you, though. But no pressure.
No pressure. I don't feel any pressure.
No comment, I was waiting
Nope.
for you to say something, all right.
Any other questions for me?
Nope. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Zach. You guys good?
Yes.
Kathleen?
Wait. Have we asked for comments from the audience?
I thought I did. I'll ask again. Was there anybody from the audience that had any questions or concerns? Maybe I didn't.
No.
Okay.
I don't think so.
Okay. Council, we're ready to vote?
I'm going to stick with my original position. My original position was Miller Valentine can't get it together, then we're going to demolish the building. So that's where I'm standing.
Is that where you're standing?
That's where I'm standing.
That changes things. Well, let's vote and see where the cards fall.
Scott,
Aye.
Wilson,
Aye.
Davidson,
No.
Fleming,
Aye.
McCampbell.
All right, aye. Okay. Ayes have it. We'll be moving forward on that. Zach, do what you can, my friend. Number 2.
Your Honor, a resolution approving contract for real estate services with Terrace Real Estate Group LLC.
Second.
This is a proposal from Terrace to market the property that we just went out, or talking about going out with the RFP on. Jesse Caston has been involved with Terrace Realty, has been involved on several projects with us. What you see in here is a look to represent us comparable to how we marketed this property in partnership with us for how we marketed this property on, doggone it. I just
Manor
lost
site?
what I was going for.
Former manor
The last property that we sold, which was.
The manor.
The manor site. Can't believe I just did that. But anyway, what you see in here is a fee, a 5% fee if he's able to get it sold. That would be based off of, in this proposal, if you were to get things done at the proposed purchase price, $100,000 would be a $5,000 fee for the work he puts in if he is actually able to successfully get it sold. Just would recommend moving forward and using their services.
Sounds good. Is there anybody from the audience that has any questions or concerns? Okay, I see none. Council?
None here.
I've got no problem either. Let's take it to vote. Kathleen?
Scott,
Aye.
Wilson,
Aye.
Davidson,
Aye.
Fleming,
Aye.
McCampbell.
Aye. Very well.
Round of resolution establishing a no parking zone on the west side of Willow Street extending from Dill Street to Sequoia Drive.
Second.
Mr. McGregor.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Nick McGregor, Public Works. We've received a request from Officer Larger on behalf of the Burlington Public Schools to install a no parking zone on the west side of Willow Avenue, from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. during school days. There is currently no parking on the east side of Willow Avenue. Based on Public Works' analysis of it, don't think it would be an issue. They're the sole occupant in the area to be affected by it, so. Officer Larger is in the audience, so she should be able to answer any questions. I personally drove in that area during school, and it is quite congested right now.
Officer, you wanna come up here for a second? I just wanted to make you walk up to the podium. No, but is there anything that you wanna add to this, just for?
It's mainly the issue, the street's not wide enough and people still park on the east side of the street, even though that's no parking as well. They'll drop their kids off on that side of the street, have them walk across. And as people are trying to get around all these cars that are now stopped, including the buses, it's just a safety hazard, and we're afraid that we're gonna watch one of these kids get hit.
Are you the school resource officer there?
In the middle schools right now, yes.
Yeah, how do you like that?
I'm enjoying it a great amount.
Good for you, good for you. Thank you for doing that.
Look me in the eyes. I want you to say that one more time. No,
I'm
just
really
kidding.
enjoying it.
All right, all right.
All right, any other questions?
There's adequate parking in the parking lot, right, for parents?
There is, and right now, they do not make use of it. So that's the hope, is that they will be encouraged to park in the parking lot. On any given day, it's maybe a quarter full, as they all line up on the street.
Okay,
Okay.
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate you coming down. Any questions or concerns, anybody from the audience? Okay, council?
I think it's a good move.
I think so too. All right, let's take a vote. Kathleen?
Scott,
Aye.
Wilson,
Aye.
Davidson,
Aye.
Fleming,
Aye.
McCampbell.
Round of resolution approving final plat of the second edition of Westbrook Meadows subdivision.
Second.
Thank you. Mr. Tislin?
This is the second phase of development by Mr. Pearson off of the Gear Avenue with townhouse and condo development. This includes zero lot line development. So the final plat followed along the center line of the building lines between adjacent properties. So you see lot sizes that reflect what was approved through the rezoning of this property to allow the zero lot line development. As it continues to develop, there may be additional lot splits, but this reflects the existing buildings on the site. We are working with Public Works and their engineers on acceptance of infrastructure, but at this time, this is just the final plat approval of this.
This will be a nice project. Is there anybody from the audience that has any questions or concerns on this project? I see none. Council?
I just want to thank Mr. Pearson, developer, and all who are involved in this project. It's great.
I want to thank you with them. Thank you, Mr. Pearson, for all the development you've done. Keep it up. All right. Everybody else satisfied?
I'm good.
I'm good.
Okay. Kathleen?
Scott,
Aye.
Wilson,
Aye.
Davidson.
Aye.
Fleming,
Aye.
McCampbell.
Aye. Well done. Number 5.
Your Honor, I have a resolution approving purchase of a 2017 Vector 2100 Plus. I don't even know what it is, with hydro excavating capabilities for the Public Works Street Division. Please educate me.
Second.
Is that how the resolution reads?
Something
My
like that.
second was on
Yeah,
there.
something
Yeah.
Eric will be throwing up a slideshow here.
We have a slideshow from the computer to.
Just a kind of an idea, I'm gonna start out with what a combination truck is. So it's got the ability to use a vacuum to pull things from the sanitary sewer, storm sewer, and then it's also got the ability to jet. So currently, we have a vacuum truck. So it essentially, it throws two things into one. And then it also has hydro excavation abilities. I think that that is one of the features that we're really looking forward to. With all the fiber work that goes into ground and all the gas lines and all the things that are underground now, it'll be nice to have the opportunity to use hydro excavation in areas that are tight with utility work. So there's some other pictures. I don't know if you want me to go through the full slideshow. It's kind of overkill on what all those things do. I don't quite know what they all do. But in the end, my staff put all the specs together, and in front of you, there are 2 bids. One of them probably should have been removed from the list because it didn't meet the specifications that we sent out. So that's why you see us going for the higher dollar unit, because it's a fan unit versus a PD unit. And there's actually, here's an example of what a fan unit is. On top, they have multiple units where fans generate the suction power. It allows you, a fan unit over a PD unit allows you to pull things from a higher depth, higher depth. And so we have some sewers in certain parts of town that are 18 foot down or more.
need that extra.
And so you kind of need that extra. Yeah, a PD will get down there a ways, but a fan unit will go above and beyond that. So,
How much?
how deep?
How much?
How much dollar money?
$389.
$389.
You know, I just want to say, can you make sure you send another message to staff and tell them that, that it's appreciated, the time that they put in to go through to make sure that this was the equipment that they wanted and that was going to work. And I was also glad to hear, you know, everybody thinks that everybody just wants new equipment, but they weren't all that jazzed at first, you know, about getting this.
No, the buy-in that I saw from staff from the beginning when I interviewed till to now has greatly changed. And I know that they see what they can do with this type of a unit, the efficiency that they'll get in being able to vacuum and jet at the same time, and use that in combination with our other unit, will really help in sewer situations.
How do we pay for this?
Amen what the mayor said.
Budget-wise, this was budgeted for a fourth to be paid for out of road use tax and 3/4 out of sewer, recognizing that it has benefits for both departments, primarily on the sewer side, but it benefits both. And this was part of the budget. We budgeted it, maybe you just said it, $390,000.
I believe it was 400,000 in the CIP,
Okay.
but
You had 390 in the memo, but.
yeah.
But we have the funds set aside to make it happen.
Very good. Very well. Is there anybody from the audience has any questions or concerns? I see none. Not even Ms. Vaughn? All right, just checking. Council? Okay. Kathleen, let's vote on it.
Scott,
Aye.
Wilson,
Aye.
Davidson,
Aye.
Fleming,
Aye.
McCampbell.
Aye. All right, we got a new piece of equipment.
Your
Number
Honor, I have
6.
a resolution amending reserved parking along Valley Street to the east of Main Street.
Second.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Mr. Tisland?
This amends the previous resolution to provide that 3 spaces that are on-street parking would be placed on the north side of Valley Street instead of having all 13 spaces on the south side of Valley Street. I'm trying to get my bearings, that's correct. I left my map down there, but the city is required to provide 18 spaces for US Bank use. 5 spaces are provided in the parking lot directly south of US Bank, and 13 spaces are provided on street at this point until they vacate the bank. Upon installation of the spaces, it went further to the east than anticipated, just based on spacing and distance from the corner, and had some concern from one of the businesses there. So this resolution allows for the 3 of the spaces to be moved to the north side of Valley Street in front of the vacant building owned by the Frank Millard Company as well, to open up some additional spaces in front of the businesses there on Valley Street.
Tim, does this address the concerns we had with Bob Prawl?
For the most part, yeah.
Good.
Is there anybody from the audience that has any questions or concerns on this parking? On the parking?
I have one.
Yes, sir?
No.
Okay. Council?
Seems like a good compromise.
Amen to that. Well done, well done. Kathleen, let's go ahead and vote on it.
Scott,
Aye.
Wilson,
Aye.
Davidson,
Aye.
Fleming,
Aye.
McCampbell.
Okay, number 7.
Your Honor, I have a resolution providing for a salary adjustment for the city manager.
Second.
Thank you. Okay, who's, where's Steph? Yeah, Steph, would you come down? I guess I could have had you come out. Do you have anything you want to say before we?
Well, I prepared the resolution based on what you guys had wanted me, which included a 9% increase to increase his salary to $150,000. His current salary is $137,592.
Okay. Great, I think that's fantastic. I was the one that came up with the 150,000, the 9%. So I guess I'll just go ahead and start. I have not changed what I said last week or 2 weeks ago. I think we started him off at a meager wage, which, again, I'm not saying that he deserves an extra cookie for that. He agreed to that, but when we started him, it was with an understanding that he was going to do some good things for our community and get us in a position where we could afford to start taking care of our roads and all the things that had been neglected, and also to get our finances in order, which everybody knows what type of state we were in at the beginning. Some people will say, well, what about the other raises that other people got? The other employees got 2.5%. I say the other employees, they got 2.5%. Every decision they make doesn't affect the bottom line. If they fall short, or if they take a week off, maybe, some blades of grass didn't get cut right or something to that effect, but every decision that he makes, everything that he does, it affects our money. So I think that changes how we analyze this position. I also want to say this, and then I'll pass it off. I also want to say that people, other communities, watch and they listen in to see what we do. I believe that we've got the best city manager in his bracket, per se, if you want to say that, in his group. But I believe we do. I believe that the other communities know that we've got the best city manager. With that being said, I think we need to pay him as such. I've heard people say, and I've got different messages, well, you shouldn't give him that much. I don't get that kind of raise. Well, I understand that, but you're not the city manager of Burlington. If that was the case, then it would be different, because then you're dealing and taking care of the budget. That changes things. He's not giving me any money. That doesn't change the fact that he earned the money. I stand on it. I feel like you earned it. I feel like we need to send a message to anybody for future reference for that, so that if somebody comes here looking for the job, or if somebody starts here from that position, that they're not going to start at the top, but if they can do everything that they said that they can do, if they're competent and they are able and they get us where we need to be, that will reward them for their merit, for what they've done. So I said all that to say this. I'm still at 150. I have no problem sleeping at night, and it's not going to affect our budget to take care of our city manager. That's where I'm at.
Can I go next?
Yes, sir.
How about the
What
audience?
about the audience?
Oh, the audience.
I was just going to bypass. I was just going straight for the throat. All right.
I'd like to hear from
Mr.
them
Spark,
first.
absolutely. Is there anybody from the audience that has any comments on the pay, just strictly on the pay?
Brady Starling, 517 South 7th Street, Burlington, Iowa. And I hope I'm plainly spoken, and I hope I'm understood. I hope there be no misunderstanding, nothing against anyone. But there are wounds that need to be, healed. And maybe I'll make this comment later on. But concerning the increase, I'm all in favor of an increase. The one that the mayor is speaking of, I think have done a magnificent job. I think he's very worthy of what the city has agreed to give him, and even the increase. I'm all in favor. I do say this, I just wouldn't want to see my tax increased, though. I do want to say that. I'm kind of concerned with the ones that may be on the bottom of the totem pole, so to speak. We could kind of balance things out a little bit more. I wouldn't want to see the top overflowing where it's overflowing, and the others are, you know, maybe suffering a little bit. Maybe if we could balance it out a little. But like I say, I have nothing against what has been mentioned to increase the salary for our city manager. Like I say, I think you've done a great job, and I'm grateful for him, and I appreciate him, I respect him, and I thank the Lord for the job that he is doing. And I think that's about all I want to say. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for coming down. Anybody else from the audience that has any comments on the salary, just on number 7? Anybody else? Okay. Mr. Fleming,
Thank you.
you're welcome.
I apologize for missing the last few meetings, but I wasn't able to be here. I'm very supportive of a substantial raise for Jim. First of all, I think there were a few years where he was underpaid, very frankly. And secondly, I know we made some comparisons with what other cities of like size are paying, but those numbers that I've seen are going to go up in July when these people do their new budgets. So when you make these comparisons, let's be sure we're comparing apples to apples. And it just seems to me, I'm not hung up on a particular number, whether it's 8% or 9%. It should be substantial. It was just a year or two ago, we were at a meeting in Cedar Rapids where the State of Iowa City Managers Association named Jim Furno the #1 city manager in the state of Iowa. And that has stuck with me. So we've got somebody that's exceeding, I think, our expectations, and they ought to be paid accordingly. So I'm not hung up on 8%, 9%, but something in that range, to me, certainly is the right way to go.
Mayor Pro Tem?
I'm going to move to amend item 1 to strike the 9% and to change the 150,000 to 145,000. And if someone will second, then I can speak to that. We have a second. People I talk to, and the word I hear from most people from the community is they want to reward our city manager, and I agree. We should be rewarding our city manager. He's terrific. He's doing a great job. I just think 9% is just a little over the top for what we should be saying we're ready to do based on our budget constraints and what other people in the community are experiencing. So that's why I'm suggesting 145. That's still a healthy increase from the 137,592.
Before I pass it down, I do just want to say, as we move forward, just remember the difference here that we're talking from what is proposed is $5,000. And I know people get to talk about budget, they say every penny counts, but this isn't going to affect anybody in their wallet. And to me, the $5,000 is well spent. If we're going to do something, we need to take care of somebody that has done so much and got us turned around. So and earned the money. All right, Tim Scott.
Help me out here. You were here when Jim first come on board. He was hired at a lower rate than the outgoing city manager, correct?
Yes.
And in his first year, he declined a raise.
No, 6 months after he came, he received a pay increase. That was the deal we had worked out with him.
Yeah.
That's what you had.
It was
But the raise that
it
he
was
was-
a year after.
Year after,
Yeah,
you declined, okay. And as I remember, and again, I wasn't on the council that declined that raise because our financial position just wasn't such that we could afford that at that time. I've got to admire that position from the city manager, from Jim. And I agree with what everybody's saying. He's doing an outstanding job. I floated the idea of $160,000, and I really wanted to find out what people's opinions were. And without exception, all I heard from people was he was well worth it, but we couldn't afford it. And they spoke to, I guess, my conservative side, and I am somewhat conservative. And I couldn't find justification for the $160,000. And I appreciate all of my cohorts up here and everything that they've had to say. And I too would like to offer an amendment, and that is to compromise with what has been put on the table, the 145 and the 150, and ask that the 9% be stricken and that the new annual salary be 147.5.
Kathleen, we have to do First
We need to
Amendment
vote on the first year first.
before we can do the second one, correct?
Have to vote on the first one first. All right.
Let's,
Yep.
Councilwoman.
So, yeah, I mean, I agree with everything as far as he's done an excellent job. You know, I'm new to getting into all the city details, but, I know he's done a good job. And, I've heard a lot of people say the same thing. Either they know he's done a good job or they don't have any idea what he does, so.
Were you talking to my staff?
you kids.
Way to go back.
But yeah, the dollar amount, it just, you know, I'm not saying he doesn't deserve a raise, and I'm not saying that he wouldn't deserve a raise next year or the year after that. And I think that's kind of where it comes down to as well, is just because we give him a lower raise this year doesn't mean we can give him a raise next year. Because what if we give him a 9% raise this year, and then next year, if we want to give him a raise, you know, it can escalate. And I think he should be rewarded, but I think we can also reward him every year, you know, if he's doing a great job. So the 145 is my max, and it's not because of the quality of work. It's just because we've made a lot of cuts, and other departments have suffered. And until we get everyone back up to full steam, I think we should be very modest in what we do. And that's it. Thank you.
Well said.
I would only mention once again that this year, we did adjust the employee manual, and we did increase all of the grade levels, pay grades.
Right.
And amounts. And in some cases, that would raise people's salary more than the 2.5%. It would be more like 4 to 5% in some cases. So that type of thing doesn't happen for a city manager. This city manager's pay is based much differently than what the rest of the staff and employees are.
I guess the other factor is what's the community standard? How is everybody else in the community, how's their pay increasing or not increasing, and so forth?
I just got to throw in there again. I think it's our job. We're elected, and it's our job to look after the community and the decisions that we make. And sometimes when I look after the community, I'm not quite doing exactly what they would think that I should do. On this, I still feel like we're missing out on a great opportunity for down the road, for future pay in this position. I really do. I'm not going to kick and scream on you guys, but I still think for the amount of money, I was gonna say this again, you guys wanna come along with me and get on my train. It's for $5,000 difference. We've got a guy here, you know, and he stayed the 5 that he said he was gonna stay, and he's still here. I'm not talking about buying his love or buying his attention. I'm just saying, taking care of the person that's taking care of us. We know what he's capable of. We know what he's done. We know what he's gonna continue to do. You know, I'm not worried about next year. I don't know what's gonna happen come next year. I don't like to plan like that, because a lot of things change in a year. I'm talking about right now. I'm talking about right now. We've got this man sitting right here, and we can bless him tonight, and we can send a message, and the Hawkeye can write it up, that out of his peers, we're paying him the best. Why? Because we've got the best city manager. Again, for those that are watching, don't think that me and him are playing golf. We don't. I don't eat lunch with Jim. That's not what this is about. This is about taking care of who's doing their job. The man's doing his job. The man is doing his job. I'm still with the 150. Who's coming with me?
I don't disagree with that at all. Matter of fact, I agree with it, but.
It's not gonna change the taxes. It's $5,000 difference.
I'm at 145.
Let's
Okay,
move
so we have an amendment to the,
Yep.
Okay, the amendment is to delete the 9%, and it'd be 145,000. That's what we're voting on right now.
all right.
To amend.
Right.
What?
Does it have to have a 9% in there?
You just delete it. Just delete the percentage.
That's the amendment, to
Okay.
delete the percent.
Delete the
And then we'll go
percentage.
back with the, okay.
145.
Okay, so
Okay.
this is to delete the 9, okay.
Now, wait a minute, say it again.
This
This
motion
is-
is to delete the 9%, and it will be, it won't say a percentage, but it'll be 145,000.
Okay, good,
Okay?
thank you.
That's what we're voting on right
All
now.
right.
So an aye vote would be, you want the
Yes,
145,000.
Right.
Okay. Scott,
No.
Wilson,
Aye.
Davidson,
Aye.
Fleming,
No,
McCampbell.
No.
Your Honor, I'd make a motion to strike the 9% and make the new annual salary 147,500.
You got a second?
second.
Thank you. Second, Mr. Fleming.
Okay. So now we're,
147,500.
right, so an aye vote would be for the 147,500.
That is
Do you
correct.
have any argument you want to make there, Mr. Scott, or just as a compromise?
It's
is that what you're
compromise.
suggesting?
Ready?
Yes, let's vote on 147,500.
Okay. Scott,
Aye.
Wilson,
No.
Davidson,
Only because if I vote no, then we have an issue. So I'm going to say yes, aye, so we can move on.
okay.
Well done.
Fleming,
I'm saying an enthusiastic yes.
McCampbell.
Yes, sir? Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Okay.
And
So-
then we
Now, I
need
just
to,
want to clarify what I did there. My 145 wasn't going to go, so I don't want to go to 150 or 160, so 147.5. It's a compromise for me.
Okay.
now we need to vote on the original resolution as amended.
As amended, thank you.
Okay. Scott,
Aye.
Wilson,
Aye.
Davidson,
Aye.
Fleming,
Aye.
McCampbell.
Aye. Okay.
Stephanie, thank you for your work on that.
Well done, Steph. At this time, we will take comments from the audience. I'm going to, again, just be mindful of the clock, but if you have comments that we have not addressed tonight, is there one tonight? Anybody? Yes, sir.
Frank Starr, 517 South 7th Street, Burlington, Iowa. And I just feel like there are some issues, some situations that I feel need to be cleared up. And I made a phone call to one of the city councilmen, and they got back with me. I don't know whether the meeting that I had hoped would take place would be between myself and one councilman or the entire city council. I would prefer, if it did happen, with the entire city council. And the councilman did get back with me, but the date was a conflict with the Juneteenth. And I said, could we see about getting another date? So that's where I am. I had not heard back from the city councilman on that.
Freddie, I called and left a message and never got a call back. I wasn't sure if it was, if the issues had been addressed or not when I hadn't heard back from you.
No, I never received it.
Okay.
I waited and waited and waited, and I never received it.
I can meet with you tomorrow.
Well, I'd like to meet with everyone that this concerns. A couple of the council members are not on the council now, so that I could get this cleared up so I could move on, because it seems like when I come down here, it seems like there's always a conflict or something. Things are said, addressed to me, and some don't know anything about it, and you know, it makes some ill feelings. I like to be straightforward. If I have anything to say, I'll say it to your face. I'm not going to say it behind your back.
What's the issue that needs to be addressed? I thought.
Well,
that was
I
the
don't think
part.
we should discuss it like this. I think we should be elsewhere. That's my opinion.
Well, you understand, we can't meet with you as a council individually.
Well, you
because
can meet with
we'd
me
have an illegal-
one-on-one. I
We'd
mean,
have an illegal meeting if we all met together with you at one time.
how was that?
If we all sat down with you, we'd have an illegal meeting.
Only
We
two
can't do that.
council members at a time. Otherwise, that's an illegal meeting.
Well, two would be all right, two at a time. It doesn't matter
Okay,
to me.
that's fine.
But we also can't have two go and leave and then two more come back and talk about the same thing. That's correct?
If you go and, you are certainly welcome to go and look at a situation. You can't have a discussion about anything, and you can't express your opinion about things and allow someone to collect several people's opinions. That's where you start to run into problems.
Is this
And-
something that we're
And
talking
even
about
there,
before?
it gets nebulous, but it's, the thing that you have to be concerned with is about expressing how you would react to a given item that's being discussed. And if you start to tell someone what you think needs to be done with something, and they start pulling everybody else, then you get into problems. So
Well,
you're
it's-
welcome
it's,
to meet and have each of you go and spend time and let them show you something, but you need to be careful then that none of you discuss what you're talking about. And for them to deliberate any issue and get you anything, it has to be them acting as a whole. And part of that, the council has, no one on council has any authority as an individual. The
Right.
authority of a council is when you act as a body. And so, I mean, you can bring a request and
Word.
let someone know, if they think it's worth the whole council discussing, they can ask that it be brought forward to the council to deal with. If they think it's something that we can try to work on without council, if it's something staff-wise that can be done, they can bring it to staff and try to get something worked out. So that would make sense if you wanted to meet with one or two council members, but it gets really problematic for them to all go, even on an individual basis, if you're trying to get their opinions on something.
But if you can meet
Well,
with Tim,
I
if you can meet with
don't-
Tim and at least, if you can meet with
I
Tim
don't
tomorrow,
dis-
if you can meet with Tim to at least get it started and get the information to Tim so that we can know how to move forward, because I'm not
Well,
even sure.
I'm
what-
just saying, I don't need your opinion. I just want to share some things, and you don't have to say anything if you don't desire to. That's all I'm saying.
Sorry.
Make myself known and make myself clear. You know, because there are some decisions that have been made down here but anyway, it seems though that others get the ear and others don't get the ear. You don't hear what anyone else is saying. And I'd rather get this and get it straight once and for all. so that I can move on.
So
Because we had an issue there here the last time, that I was accused of accusing the council or something? And I was just going by what I was told, and it didn't make me look like I'm up here telling lies on somebody. I'm just saying, these things don't seem to happen with anyone else, but it happened with me. I just want to get a situation that has been said to my group were not said to other groups. It seems as though it's a favoritism. So I go along that line. I don't go any further.
Well, okay.
Yeah, I go along
Yeah,
that
I
line.
know what he's
And if you go back and look at decisions that have been made down here that I was a part of,
There's
I
been
left here empty-handed.
There's been no favoritism. There's
Okay.
been no favoritism.
All
so-
right, okay.
But if you
I'm
can
not
get
gonna
with
dispute you.
Tim Scott
Right.
and let him know what the deal is, so that we can know where to move forward on it, that'd be good to go.
Yep. Tim, you're willing to meet with him, right? Let's do that.
Mr. Ganakis.
I was here a couple of months ago on the same situation. Today, I went to Aldi's grocery store to get some pop. Now, I'm the only one in the store, and my car's the only one in the lot. When I came out, there was a silver utility vehicle from Lee County watching me. So what I did, I went around him and took a picture of him and everything. When I left, he left. Just like we pledge allegiance to the flag, I put my uniform on. My MOS was 11 Delta 10. That's recon specialist. Otherwise, I wouldn't be here talking to you. I'm good at it. But I shouldn't have to go through all this.
Did you
I'm
give
not
your
a
name and
drug
ad- did you give
dealer.
your
I
name and
never
address,
did
Paul?
do drugs. The chief is accusing me of all of this.
Did you give your name and address, Paul?
Paul Ganakis, 1013 North 8th, Burlington, Iowa, 52601. Now, there's so many different vehicles, Louisa County, Lee County, Henry County, Des Moines County. Just for instance, I was out in Crapple Park. Every time I go to Crapple Park, they seem to show up. And when I go to the port, they seem to show up. Well, there was a black utility from Fort Madison with a Lee County plate. I couldn't see through the glass. So what I did, he was watching me. I went out of his sight and got in my trunk with my high-powered binoculars, and I see movement in the vehicle. So what do? I put the binoculars back in, I pull up alongside of it, and I look toward the front to see them in there, and they took off real quick. They went over by the swimming pool, and I went over there again. I wrote down the license plate. I shouldn't have to go through all this. I served my country in good faith and goodwill. There's no drugs on my record. And I'm being followed constantly. This is abusive surveillance on me. I'm not liking it. I suffer post-traumatic stress disorder, and this is just making it explosive. I have the right to be left alone. Just like the chief said that he would ease off and everything. He's not easing off. They're coming on me like flies now. When I picket, 11:30 I go home, they follow me. I come back, 4:30 when I go home, they follow me. To test them on this, to make sure they follow me, I'll go out to the park. Here we go. Same vehicles. I shouldn't have to go through this. I'm sick of it. I'm sick and tired. And I've been picketing since August 2nd, and I will go further. I'll go to winter, whatever. I'm not appreciating
Mr.
this.
Ganakis, I really do, man, I really want, I really would love to see, try to get some type of resolve, I don't want you to continue to picket, and I don't mean.
More, I don't like to be lied to by the chief. I called him a liar to his face. I had a 2-hour session with him.
I think that's a mistake. You shouldn't be doing that.
Well, if he's lying to my face,
You shouldn't be.
when he says there's no cars following me, when I got pictures, no,
You shouldn't be doing that.
no. Well, I don't care. That's why he's got a vendetta against me.
I don't think you're right there.
That's
But
it.
I'm not gonna argue the
Yeah.
situation with you.
You are probably.
You're not going through what I'm going through,
No, you're
Mr.
right.
Davison.
You're right.
So you don't know nothing about it.
Well, I know something about it.
I do too.
Yeah.
I know about the
Mr.
hospital.
Ganakis, I just don't, it just doesn't make sense to me because I just don't understand. We don't have the money to have somebody tailing you, and I just don't understand, I don't
All right.
understand how it could be continuously going on.
I got a
But
high-
I want to show you the respect that you deserve because you did serve your country, and that means something, it does. But I just don't understand. I mean, I just don't understand how we could be continually doing it because we don't have the manpower.
Well, he's doing it. I got pictures. When I'm at home, they come down, up and down my alley. And they go up and down my street, the same car. This is getting ridiculous. And when I'm home, they get all mad, they come up by my house, they're trying to draw me out, to come out and play with them. I don't. When they don't see me, they go to my house. I caught them at all their games. I caught every one of their passport cars, snitch cars, whatever. I caught them all. I even brought 3 of them to the police station. I said, stay here. When I went and get the police, they took off. Now, why are they following me?
I don't know, but I think,
I'm not seeing things. I can put myself back to Vietnam mode, how I searched the Viet Cong, like recon. I shouldn't have to do that. They're obvious. They park right next to me. When I go to the sun and tanning, they park right next to me.
Mr. Ganakis, I think we need, well, the chief isn't here tonight, and there's nothing that we're gonna be able to get resolved, but I think maybe it'd be good to see if maybe, you and the chief and somebody else, I'd be glad to sit down and to have a talk on private time.
I
And
talked to him for 2 hours. It didn't do no good. And I'm not seeing things. I got the pictures of these cars and everything.
I need to see some of those pictures. I'll have to, and I can't do this all night,
Not right,
but
okay.
I'll have to see some of those pictures, Paul.
I'm not exaggerating. I see these cars.
I'm not saying you.
I'm not gonna give my techniques away because there's 2 police officers in the back of this city hall. I got some techniques that work real good because I used them in Vietnam and they're working here.
I'll be down here tomorrow if you want to come down and see me, Paul. I'll be down here tomorrow.
Well, I guess I can come down tomorrow.
Come on down tomorrow before noon. I'll be down here in the morning before, I'll be leaving around noon, so come on down and see me.
At what time?
I have a meeting at 7:30. As soon as I get out of there, I'll be coming right over here
You
anytime.
mean tomorrow night, you're saying?
No, tomorrow morning,
At what time?
about between 9 and 11. That would.
Okay, and your office is,
Yeah, you know where I'm at, second floor? Yeah, just come on down and see me, bring those pictures with you, and I'll see if I can, get the chief to stop by too or something, okay?
okay, thank you.
Thanks for coming down. Is there anybody else that has, Mr. French?
Mark French, 601 Harrison. I think most of you know where he is. I've spoken to most of you personally about my issue. Councilwoman Wilson I've not spoken with. I'm gonna give you some materials here. Jim and the mayor have already received this information. I have a chronic health issue. 2 years ago, I would not have said that. In fact, I didn't even say it to my closest relatives. I have had this problem for 20, 25 years. It was never a problem for me. I just managed to negotiate my way through life, avoiding the smoke because of my health problems. But September of 2014, the council passed the fire pit ordinance with not much more reasoning than the people seem to want it. I have given all of you packets of information, either in a mailbox or personally, that outline some of the health issues related with smoke. And I know I'm fighting against a cultural icon. People love to sit around their fires and socialize. But because of my problems, smoke is a major irritant to me. If you look at the first page of what I just handed you, you'll see a letter from my doctor. The fire chief received this letter in June. You'll also see a graphic that represents the major health issue I have, my lack of salivary function. My figure is down in the lower right of that graphic. That represents there are two ways to measure salivary function. One is when you eat and drink. I do okay with that. But the other portion of it, I come in at 14% of where the bottom of normal is. I would have to multiply my saliva output by more than 7 times to get to the bottom of normal. The reason this is a problem is that saliva is crucial in the nasal passages, in the throat, for trapping, protecting you from particulate pollution. So when I get even a little bit of smoke, it's a major irritant to me. After you pass the ordinance, it was a problem that fall. Over the winter, I had my normal amount of smoke for one neighbor that burned, and it was only, over the years, it's only been a problem a few days over the winter. But then when spring arrived and the burning got thicker, you can see in your papers I gave you, the darkened days from the 6 warm months of last year, you can see the number of days that I have received irritating amounts of smoke. And I know it's hard to measure this stuff, but I can tell you that 2 days this summer and 5 days last summer, the public health officials were on the airwaves saying, those of you that are sensitive to particulate pollution should watch out, because limit your activities, because there's smoke in the air from wildfires in Canada that was affecting Burlington, Iowa. Those were clean air days for me compared to what I get from the fire pits. Spring of last year, the end of the first week of June last year, I had 2 unexpected symptoms show up. My mouth and gums, or the inside of my lips and gums, swelled up. I should have not expected that. That's my secondary salivary glands, which pop into action since my main ones don't work. So I had ongoing swelling in the mouth, and I also developed a spike in tinnitus. Now, I've gotten used to the swelling in the mouth. The tinnitus has progressively gotten louder and louder and louder, to the point that last month, at the pipe organ concerts in downtown Burlington, they billed as the pipe organ crawl. Above all the pipe organ music, I still hear my ears ringing, singing with the bel canto chorale, practicing with a crowded choir room full of singers. I still hear the ringing above all the singing. It's gotten progressively worse, and it seems to take less and less smoke to trigger a spike in my symptoms. I don't know where to go from here. I know you have a provision in the burning ordinance that allows me to call for relief. It took nearly 10 months just to get to that point where the fire department would believe it was a problem for the caller, not just for the responding firefighter, who was a professional smoke eater. But that provision doesn't seem to be solving my problem. I can't predict the direction of the winds, when the fire is going to start up. I don't know where to go from here other than ask you for some type of relief. The ringing in my head is 24/7 and is becoming debilitating. The swelling in the mouth I can deal with, but it's just getting worse and worse with less and less trigger.
Mark, here's the issue again. We talked about this is, where do you find that happy medium? I mean, you can't, God controls the wind. You know what I'm saying? I mean, one minute it could be going good, and then the next minute it could be, going straight toward your house.
And how many times do I need to call out the fire department before I get a more permanent solution? They've already come out about 20 times. And if I would have called every time that the smoke was an irritant to me, I would have reached that 20 times probably early last year. You can count the number of darkened days on that calendar. And that's not even all the days that I smelled smoke. Those are only the days that it was a level that was a problem for me. There are plenty of other days not marked where there was smoke, but I could deal with it. And I know most people don't have this problem, and I am an aberration. And I just need to figure out if Burlington can accommodate my presence, or whether I need to pack my bags and hit the road. It's probably the same question you would have if a child had a peanut allergy. Does the school have a place for that kid? Or are you going to make some kind of accommodation?
Yeah, it's
I
just
don't-
that with
I
a
don't
peanut
wish-
allergy, it's real easy to
I
keep
don't
people away
wish
from
to be,
peanuts.
I don't wish to be in my own shoes. I didn't choose this. I wish I had a different physiology that I could deal with it, but I don't. That's just where I am.
I'd like to bring it back up and take a look at it, guys.
Yeah, I think it's worth
And see if
seeing what
there's-
options we can.
Did any of
sift
you
through.
read the materials that I submitted to you in the thicker packet that talked about the health implications of smoke? If you get beyond the romantic notion of a fire and look at what the scientists have to say about it, what the EPA has to say about it, what the Harvard School of Dr. Joel Schwartz from the Harvard School of Public Health talks about the various chemicals present, like arsenic, mercury, lead, formaldehyde. He says these are some of the most insidious chemicals known to man.
And you can throw that out at campers, and they're gonna keep burning logs, just like the
I
smokers do
have
when they're
lit,
in cigarettes.
I
So,
have lit more than my share of campfires in my past, but it was always out in the woods, away from people's dwellings.
Right on.
And I always had the option and always exercised the option to constantly move to stay upwind. In my own home, I don't have the option to move upwind. Actually, I do have the option, and I ended up driving around town aimlessly because the fire department either wouldn't put out the fire before last June 29th, or else they couldn't find it, and it continued to burn. And that's a problem. They can't always find it, and it's a burden for them trying to find it. And the smoke can travel long distances. It doesn't have to be the next door neighbor.
Mark, the best we'll be able to do tonight is, if you want to leave information, you're more than welcome to leave more information with the council
Everybody's
members
received all the
and,
information, all the council
Okay.
members have received all my information.
Okay. The only thing we can do is, I can request that we have this brought back up, and we can take another look at it and see if, maybe there's some type of adjustment that can be made. Are you guys fine with at least, bringing this back up to take a look at it?
And when will it be brought up?
I don't have a problem looking at the ordinance again.
If the council intended for people to go out and pollute the air once a month and enjoy their fire pit, then they should have written an ordinance that said you can burn once a month. But you've allowed every resident.
The council didn't intend. Somebody came to the council and said, we would like to burn, and there were other people that wanted to burn too, so that's how we came up with that ordinance. It wasn't that we were looking for an ordinance for burning. People came from Burlington that like to burn. And again, it's no offense, it's nothing against you, but you have to realize this is 25,000+ people.
I understand
And you are
that.
the only person that has come
Well,
forward with the issue.
I've
so-
talked to several residents of Burlington that have a problem with smoke, but they are fortunate by winning the lottery of where they live and who their neighbors are, that they get smoke infrequently, or it doesn't bother them as much as me.
Right on. We'll bring it back up. We'll have it brought back up. It'll probably be, how soon,
If any of you would like to challenge any of the information I gave you, I'm more than open to your questions, or if you don't, I know it's difficult for you to hear I'm hearing every hour, every minute. I can't prove that I can't prove my ears are ringing. I can show you my swollen salivary
You can
glands
put-
in my mouth, but
You can have it on as a discussion item on the October 31 council meeting.
sounds good.
The chances we take by doing that is that more people step forward and want to do more burning and want to go further with it. I mean, it's,
I think I discussed with you what the response was in my neighborhood when less burning was requested, that it did produce the opposite
If I hear
result.
from those people firsthand, then it makes a huge difference in how
Well,
I
I've
take action up here.
I discussed with you why some of my neighbors aren't speaking up. Who would like to?
I'll tell you what, it'd definitely help you come October 31st. I would encourage you to try to get some of your neighbors to
They
come on
don't,
down. with
they
you.
don't need to come here. There's email, there's phone calls, there's letters, there's other opportunities to address this. That's, I sympathize with you, Mark, I really do.
Well, I don't need sympathy. I don't want your pity. I don't want your sympathy. I would just like to regain some normalcy where I'm not constantly bothered by these symptoms just so my neighbors can recreate. I would like to be able to open the door without having to sniff to see if I can go outside. And I can't shut it out. In the information I gave you, it shows most of the smoke goes ahead and penetrates a house that's closed up.
October 31st, come on back down and
I will be here. Thank
we'll
you for your
revisit
time.
that.
That's a work session.
That's a work session.
Oh, okay.
So that's a discussion that you have.
Yeah, well, you won't be able to participate in that, but there's always,
We'll all have those information that
Right
he's
on.
given us.
right on. Is there anybody else from the audience, discussion item, anything we haven't touched on tonight?
How's everybody doing?
Good.
Good? Got a good heart and everything?
Can you adjust that microphone just a little bit? Can you pull that down just
Oh.
Just make
Well,
sure
I ain't got my
everybody can hear you.
hearing aid on either. How's that?
That's good. Better.
Okay. No, I was having to think about something, and it's worrying me to death, but young people here in the city of Burlington. I don't know, we feel like we got an environment that just don't do nothing for, young people. I remember when Whitty's drugstore was up here on, was that Jefferson Street? Miss Whitty, anyway. She called me one time and said she had a check, and I said, well, how much is it? She said, $850. I said, whoa. I said, what do you think about it, Miss Whitty? She said, well, I heard you talking about young people. And she was willing to put the first hit in there. And I think the vice president of the bank down here, he was on the school board at that time. So we ended up with the $850, and that's when the elevators went into the auditorium down there. And all I could see were, people when I come to the council or something, they never did want to get in there. This is the first city council that I've known of that wasn't following these instructions. That is that the city council had to report to the mayor, and the mayor put the job up for bid, and whoever wanted to bid and had the best education and stuff like that, they were the one that got that job on them for city council and for the school. And that was, they worked hard. The reason I know the person was the superintendent at school there was my brother-in-law, James Davis, in Quad City. And I said, well, what about, he said, he said, they don't play that stuff down there. You got to have the education, and you turn your paperwork in and somebody look at it and find out who's got the best education here for the slot, and that's what filled it. It wasn't nothing, you had to go to the poll and vote. That forced the town to work together. You know what I mean? Work together and come together, meet, have meetings together and things like this for the welfare of those children. Now, I'm not getting mad at you guys. You know, I know all of you. But the thing about it is, some people there, the school don't even do it. They call you up? They call you up, Shane?
Who?
The school.
For?
For, you know, just for to set up a meeting and talk about how to can upgrade, you know, the kids, the children in the system. Like, you got a perfect example here up there on Maple Street, Sawdell School, old Sawdell School. It looks, the picture began to form and it looked like that we care more about what this guy want to. It's the same old trick they pull out there, Weingart pulled out there on them houses out there. He got his buddy in here from Denver, Colorado, and he come down here and he jack us up, talking about this here, and he's gonna do this and do that. And in the end of the thing, I don't know that, I don't have no use for that property now. Well, heck, you were getting $104,000 a year for tax money on that property before they tore them houses down. Well, he didn't get to tear it down. Just thank God it stayed up a little longer, a little longer. But beside the point is, I'd like to see some communication between the school system and the council, the city council. I mean, prosper, to work hard at it, and to get set up for scholarships and things like that there. And I'll guarantee you do the right thing. That shooting and all that other junk will get out of here, because the people themselves that's putting this money up for this Maple Hill Community Center. You see what I'm saying? You guys got together, found the money for education. I don't know how you do that stuff, how you write those grants up, but I figure you can get a grant somewhere for that school up there in Salter. That's a perfect spot. And what you're doing, you're working to change this outward and inward scope of the next generation coming through that school. You know, they'll have something. When I was on the school board, I took a walk through the school system. And I come to this one room up there, and this youngest kid was in the back. He's all doubled over, fold up, sound asleep. Now, come on. So I asked the teacher, I said, you know, would you mind if I wake that young man up? Well, she didn't know who I was, because I haven't been that long on the board. So she said, that don't make me anything. Go right ahead. So I hopped up there and go to the back. He was at the back of the school, the back, sitting there with his hands crossed, sound asleep. And the teacher was up front giving the instructions. So I said, there's got to be something else to this more than what I'm seeing. So I go back there and I shake him up and say, young man, I said, what's the problem? Sleepy. I said, okay. Have you ate anything? No. All day long you haven't eaten anything? You see what I mean? Good, responsible teachers would have caught that.
Can I ask you, so, just so I can bring this, because I'm not sure what I'm not sure what you're wanting.
But what I'm saying, I want the council to call over there and meet with the school system and try to bring some positive influence in here. All we needed, if you had a place, like the Salter School up on Mayfield, if you had it, now it belongs to, can't call the man's name now, who does it belong to? You got the big pipes and stuff up there.
Yeah, but I still don't understand what you mean with Salter School. I mean, for Salter, for what?
Well, you need to talk to the school, that's a part of our community.
I mean, to do what with Salter School? I still don't understand what you mean.
Make yourself available for a meeting with the school system and talk over the needs of the city of Burlington. How can you help these mothers and things, like that little child that was back in the back? You know what happened?
But I'm just trying to figure out,
Yeah.
help me figure out, where does Salter School come into play with this? I don't understand.
What would you do if somebody said, we'll give you $150,000, $300,000 to bring that up to par, that it has the proper things in there to help young people develop and grow?
Like a youth program? Youth program?
It's a youth program. It's a people program. It's a program of responsibility.
But I'm just, they've got one started right down the street, a half a block away at the old Maple Leaf.
Right. And my kids went up there. But see, what I'm saying is that you can give a man a stack of books. If he don't read them, it ain't gonna do him no good. You see, they said that once about us. They tell you what to do, just give him a book. I know they said it because I was back in the 50s when it was said. But see, now we got, y'all done a good job. I want to okay you for that. But it wouldn't hurt. Them children that walked up here and said how casual you were to them and stuff like that. What did you see in them kids that made that worthy? They need to see the same thing in all of it. See what I mean?
I'll tell you this.
Sometimes when you ain't doing that, just stop by the house and we'll sit down and talk about it.
I go to the schools and visit, but I mean, it's gonna take, if you think just from the council doing that it's gonna turn
Me and my
Burlington.
wife, if you don't know it, I know you don't. Me and my wife, when she was living, spent 5 years over the Horseman School. We even had some teachers fighting the program. You hear what I'm saying? Now, if you're the daddy and the father of this kid, you ain't gonna know nothing about it if you don't get in the groove with the flow and say, hey, I'm going over here and work with them. And you'll be surprised at what you find out. Wait till you don't want to be, the mayor anymore. Bells will start ringing. Pianos start playing. People talk. But this is Burlington, and I like it, I love it. But I had to almost fight my way through to move up the ladder out that case. Because the government could control a lot of that. They said, okay, 10, what was it? You had to have over 10 people, or minority, or don't you lose your contract. And that was sort of basically there. It's nothing, and I've seen some things on that board, we go up to Des Moines and stuff like this here, and it just wasn't right. That South Hill, whether you're going to close your mind to it or what, is dangerous. When you can't go to a gasoline store because somebody's going to fire 6 shots in there, what happened if one of them shots where you busted through the tank and went into that car, it blew, and then them tanks underneath the ground right there are going to blow too. You see what I'm saying? And what would be the best thing to do? These people, they ain't got nothing to do. You see what I'm saying? And they just school kids. Train up a child in the way that he should go. You see what I mean? That's what the Lord tells us to do. We omit God too much in our schools and the city council. We need to bring God back into position where he can help us run this life and run this race. But no, I mean, they got fighting mad at me and my wife for starting up that tutoring up up in Horace Mann. One on and she said, I know she knew better because she used to be a principal of a school. And this is what I'm saying. We need to get back to some old ways. You know, we can't get out here and do the boogaloo and the woogie do and all that junk. We got to show some love. Okay? And y'all need to show, just like you showed that, what Miss Sturgis, you have to show that those kids come up here, you know, because you seen that they were interested in something else rather than just playing ping pong. And you try to inspire that. Okay?
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening.
Thank you.
Hopefully, let something come out of this.
1 minute to
There's-
clarify a couple of things. Just real quick, I wanted to clarify for the people that received the information. This one I didn't explain, that's black soot deposits on the inside louvers of a window air conditioner that only recirculates inside air in a house that the windows are never open and the doors are always shut. That's black soot that still was on the inside of the house. And these I don't want to show on camera, but those wintertime burning is also a problem now. I talked to the DNR field representative from Washington, Iowa. He looked at, those are video stills. He said both of those residences are putting out excessive amounts of smoke, but they were not into enforcement. And after talking to our fire chief, he said he wasn't interested in enforcing that either, even though the DNR says that's grossly excessive.
Thank you, sir. Anybody else from the audience?
I just have one other thing I would like to say. Freddie Starr, 517 South 7th Street. I do want to say I thank the Parks Commission or the council that they did put in a new fountain down at Deborah White and Gladys White Park, and also upgraded a few of the outlets down there. These are some things when I was mentioning to you that should have been done years ago. And when I was down here the last time, that was caused some confusion. And that was what I was saying. It seemed like, you know, there's favoritism towards certain things, and then others ask or make complaints, and it takes years and years, and people get frustrated, and then some people get on the council and they don't understand, and then it causes more confusion. So these are some things.
That's not the case, though. So just so you know, that's not the case. There's no
Okay.
favoritism. Every park is put on a list, and if anything, since I've been on the council, there has been extra things done at that park that haven't been done at other ones that weren't
I understand
scheduled to be
what you're
on
saying,
there,
Mayor.
so-
I'm not disputing it, but I was just saying, in my judgment,
You have to wait till
I'm
after,
just,
you have to wait till after the meeting.
and,
Okay, and then I'll come down and I'll grab that.
and some of the things that he was just mentioning, you know, we were trying to get some things for the young people, and these are some issues that we'll discuss with Councilor Scott.
Okay. Any other comments? Okay. Mr. Tisland?
Just a reminder, the Travel Iowa vote goes through tomorrow. This is the image that Burlington's currently in the lead for, but encourage you to go to Travel Iowa Facebook or website and vote for Burlington. I think we're up by 1,000 votes now. It closes tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. But an opportunity for Burlington Snake Alley to be on the cover of the Iowa Travel Guide that goes out throughout the area, so.
Councilman Wilson?
Just wanted to let everyone know there was a nice opportunity to support the arts here in Burlington. The Arts Center is celebrating its 50th on Friday from 6 to 8:30. So it's a nice little fundraiser for that. Thank you.
Mr. Scott?
I had a couple of things. The city manager brought to my attention, I made a huge mistake 2 weeks ago. And we sold a couple of properties, and I stepped down off the council table and decided to bid on those properties. And then at the end of it, I voted to sell the properties to the other person because I was outbid. I should have accused myself, or I should have abstained, and I really think I knew that before it happened and wasn't thinking. And I apologize to everybody for that. Actually, I should have considered whether I was going to bid on those or not when the opportunity came to make the decision to sell the properties or to demolish them 2 weeks prior to that. So I won't let that happen again, and I will be bidding on properties in the future because I've decided to get involved in that kind of redevelopment. So I will make certain that I take the appropriate actions and make sure what I plan is appropriate. And again, I apologize for that. All the council's been made aware of it, and so it's public information. And I want to make sure everybody understands that. The other thing that I want to mention, it's something that is bothering me terribly, and that this message was on Facebook at 4:13 this afternoon. And it says, Burlington Police, ambulance are responding to a shots fired incident at South Central Avenue. One person shot. Scanner traffic indicated possible domestic situation. That was provided to us by the Hawkeye. They have a Facebook page, and they're telling everybody about this, so I know many people in this community will jump in their cars and go racing towards that to see what's happening and put themselves in jeopardy. I think this is the most careless action by a small business in this community that could take place. I think it's absolutely ridiculous. It's putting our emergency responders, it's putting our public, and it's putting those involved in that incident at risk. And I think it should be stopped. And I hope that Steve Delaney is listening and makes note of this, that the seriousness of this and the harm that he's putting people in. And I could be all alone in this, but I doubt it. I don't think that our public servants and our police department in particular appreciate this kind of information being spread. Now, if they think they're doing the city a service and maybe people are going to run away from this, that's not the case. Let them find out on their own. They don't need to take a Facebook site that is very popular, because I've seen many of these come across and brought to my attention from others, not something that I've seen for myself. But I think this is just a very, very dangerous precedent and a very, very dangerous, could be a very, very dangerous situation for all concerned. Please just stop. You're a small business, you're not a god. That's all I had.
Okay, I missed the fireworks, but you ended really strong. I just want to say hi to one of my favorite music teachers in the house tonight, Mrs. Vaughn. How you doing? I'm the musical genius I am today because of that lady and God. Just want to say that we had City Day over the weekend. It was phenomenal. There were over 1,000 people that came to City Day. It was just, it was unbelievable. And I just want to say to everybody that works for the city that was there, that were doing tattoos and helping with the bounce house, and just, they had all kinds of activities. I just want to say thank you to everybody, because I thought the city employees really represented. It was a fantastic day. So again, I think they set the bar so high. I don't know what next year is going to be like, but I'm already excited for it. The only other thing I wanted to say is we lost Chad McNamee passed away. He worked at the Goodwill store, and I got the opportunity right now. They were dealing with losing him and saying goodbye and having a hard time, so I got a chance to talk to a lot of his co-workers, and a lot of them have disabilities and that sort of thing. And so I just want to say to all my friends at Goodwill, to Chad McNamee's family, to those my friends at Hope Haven, I just want to say that I'm still praying for all of you, and that I enjoyed the visit that we had, and Chad is in a better place. So anyways, just had a really good time with them, and we always just need to be mindful there's somebody out there that has it worse than we do. Mayor Pro Tem?
Leaf collection started today, I believe. So get your leaves bagged up and get them out by the curb, and I'll come and get them for you. Remember, you can't put them in plastic bags, and they don't want tape and/or staples in your leaf bags. And you can put them in garbage cans like I do, and then you can reuse that garbage can time after time after time. So there you go.
All right.
I have nothing at this time.
Okay, but you reserve the right.
I certainly do.
City Manager?
Well, just a question, leaf collection, if your routes, Friday route, they pick up on Monday?
Right.
So, and it rotates through the week that way for folks to keep a reminder of, I think that 6 weeks?
Sounds right.
Or is it 4 weeks in the fall? 6 weeks, 6 weeks. And a reminder, next week, we do not have a meeting on Monday, so take a nice vacation, or your continuing ed classes scheduled for next week.
Oh, I've graduated.
Okay, congratulations. And have a good week. Again, one thing that with Eric's group, they've put an awful lot of time into getting ready for hosting the state chapter, and will be putting a lot of time and effort into doing several sessions during that. So it's just like to commend them for the time that they've had to put in, and it stretches them, I think, and it's hard for them to keep up with other stuff going on, but it really is neat to see them taking a good lead role on a statewide organization.
That's all you got?
Your Honor, I move that we adjourn at this time.
Second.
Hold on. Did you?
Oh, she.
I just wanted to say it. I noticed as I was coming down here today, we had some power fluctuations out at Public Works. On my way to the meeting tonight, I noticed that they started to affect some of our traffic signals. So they went completely off, and then they turned back on into the flashing red light mode. I don't know if Alliant's been having issues, but just want to warn people to be cautious. If that happens, just wait until they start fluctuating and then use it as a four-way stop. And then eventually they'll kick back into the regular motion, so.
Thank you, sir. Okay.
Adjourn.
Scott?
Aye.
Wilson?
Aye.
Davidson?
Aye.
Fleming?
Aye.
Campbell?
Aye.
Thank you,
This meeting's
Council.
adjourned. Good night.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you,
Jim.
Mayor Pro Tem.